Good morning Year 7 and welcome to today's maths lesson. Let's start off with a starter as always. Can you simplify 65 over 100 for me? Can you find 25% of 60? Can you do 3/4 divided by 6/7? And what is the sum of the interior angles of a pentagon? Pause the video and have a go at those questions in your light blue books now, please. Okie doke, let's go through the answers. The first question I asked you to simplify 65 over 100. To do this, I'm going to divide the top and bottom of my fraction by 5. This leaves me with 20 on the bottom and 13 on the top, so 13 over 20. For the second question, I asked you to find 25% of 60. What do I need to divide 60 by to find 25%, Adam? 4, brilliant. So dividing it by 4 gives me 15. Our division of fractions, we need to use our keep, flip, change. So we keep the first fraction, we flip the second fraction, and we change our sign to a multiply. 3 times 7 gives me 21 on the top. 4 times 6 gives me 24 on the bottom. I can then simplify. I could divide top and bottom by 3. That would give me 7 on the top and 8 on the bottom. And finally, what is the sum of the interior angles of a pentagon? Jake, how many sides does a pentagon have? 5, lovely. We know our formula for interior angles is n minus 2 times 180. So for a pentagon, n is 5. So I've got 5 take away 2 multiplied by 180, which is 3 times 180, which gives me what, Rosie? Perfect, 540 degrees. Cool, let's go into today's lesson. A quick recap. If I'm increasing a number by 10%, what is my new number as percentage? What percentage of my number do I have now if I've increased it by 10%? Pause the video, have a little think, write down your answer in your light blue book. Great, the answer I was looking for is B, 110%. I've got 100% of my number, I'm adding on 10%, that leaves me with 110%. So if I wanted to increase 30 by 10%, the first thing I'd do is I'd draw my bar model. I'd say 100% was 30 and I wanted to add on 10%. Now 10% of 30 is 3 because we divide it by 10. Increase means we're adding it on. So altogether we have 30 plus 3, which gives me 33. Over to you, Year 7, in your light blue books. Can you inflate, which means the same as increase, 160 by 25%. Use the bar model. Pause the video, have a go at that now, please. Right, let's go through it. This time I've got 100% is 160. I want to add on my 25%. To find 25%, I divide 160 by 4, which gives me 40. So the bit I'm adding on is worth 40. Increase or inflate means we're adding it on. So altogether we should have got 160 plus 40, which is 200. Let's do a quick recap of decreasing. If I decrease a number by 20%, what's my new number as a percentage? Pause the video, write down A, B, C or D in your light blue books now, please. And the correct answer is C, 80%. So this time we've started at 100%. We've taken away our 20%, so the amount I've got left with is 80%. Let's have a look at a bar model. If I wanted to decrease 50 by 20%, I've got 100% was 50. I'm taking away that 20%. What's that 20% worth to me? Well, I can divide 50 by 5, which tells me that 20% of 50 is 10. You could have also worked out what 10% was and said that was 5 and doubled that. Both ways work. So this time we're taking away that 10. Decrease means subtract. So we've got 50 subtract my 10, which leaves me with 40 left in my bar. Over to you, Year 7. In your light blue books, can you reduce or decrease 45 by 60% for me? Pause the video, have a go at that now, please. Right, let's talk it through. I could work out what 10% of 45 was by dividing it by 10, which would give me 4.5. I could then multiply that by 6 to work out what 60% would be, which would give me 27. Decrease means I'm taking away that 27. So the bit I've got left, the 40% I've got left, is worth 45 take away 27. It's worth 18. If you want to double check your answer at any point, look at your bar model and check that your 2 bars at the bottom add together to give you the bar at the top. Okay, Year 7, can you pause the video for 10 to 15 minutes and have a go at these questions in your light blue books, please? Anything from G onwards is more of an extension. I want to make sure you can all do A to F for me. Pause the video, have a go at that now, please. And these are the answers. Please check your work and see how you did. Okay, I want to have a look at manipulating percentages, okay? Sounds harder than it is. So in your dark blue books, can I have the title Reverse Percentages, and then pens down, eyes on me, I'm going to go through an example and then you're going to do an example. So my example says 10% of a number X, 10% of something is 12. What is X? So I've drawn a bar model. I've said I'm trying to find out what 100% of X is, what my original number is. So this is X. I want to work out what that is. I've been given 10%. I know I'm going to need 10 lots of this 10% to give me 100%. Here they come. So to work out what X is, I need to do 12 multiplied by 10, which gives me 120. So can you see how we've been given a portion of X and we can use that to work out what 100% of X is. Over to you, Year 7. In your dark blue books, can you have a go at this example for me, please? Pause the video, spend a couple of minutes on it for me. Right, let's talk it through. So this time I've been told that 10% of X is 6. Again, we know we need 10 lots of that 10% to give us what X is. Here they come. Ooh. So I've got 6 multiplied by 10, which gives me 60. So I know my original number X, in this case, was 60. Okay, Year 7, light blue books or mini whiteboards if you have one. If 10% of a number is 7, what was the original number? Pause the video, have a little think. Is it A, is it B, is it C, or is it D? Okay, if 10% of the number is 7, I need to multiply that by 10 to get 100% of the original number. So you should have got C, 70. How about now, if 25% of a number is 8, what's the original number? Pause the video, have a little think. Okay, this time I know that 25% times 4 would give me my 100%. So I need to do 8 times 4, which gives me what, Daisy? 32, lovely stuff. B. Let's do a slightly trickier example. So pens down, eyes on me. I'll go through an example and then I've got one for you to have a go at. I've been told that 15% of my number, x, any number, some kind of number, is 12. And I've been asked to work out what that original number x might be. Here's my diagram. I'm trying to find 100% of x. I've been given this little section here, 15%. This time I can't multiply that 15% by a number a whole number of times. It doesn't work. I can't do it the same way. We need a new root. 10% was handy. Let's work out what 10% would be. If I've got 15% is 12, 5% is just going to be 12 divided by 3. So 5% is 4. I can then do 5% multiplied by 2, which will give me 8. And we know that if we multiply 10% by 10, we can get 100%. So if I know that 10% is 8, 8 times 10 tells me my original number is 80. Let's go through that one more time. I've been given 15%. I divided that by 3 to work out what 5% might be. I then multiplied that by 2 to work out what 10% might be. And then just as we did in the previous example, I just had to multiply that by 10 to work out my original number, which was 80. Over to you, Year 7, in your dark blue books. Have a go at this example for me. Pause the video, have a little think. Right, let's chat it through. Again, I can't just multiply that 15% by a whole number to work out 100%. However, what I could do is I can work out what 5% is by dividing by 3, which gives me 2. I can then work out what 10% would be by multiplying by 2, which gives me 4. I can then work out what 100% would be, or what my original number x would be, by doing 4 times 10, which gives me 40. Make sure you've got this example in your dark blue books for me, Year 7. Ta-da! Okay, mini whiteboards or light blue books for me. 30% of a number is 30. What's the original number? Pause the video, have a little think. Let's work it out in the same way. If 30% of a number is 30, 10% can be found by dividing by 3. So 10% would be 10. I can then do 10 times 10 to work out what 100% would be, which is C. Well done if you got that right. How about now then? Pause the video, have a little think. Let's try and find that 10% again. If I divide it by 3, I can work out what 5% would be. So 5% is 10. If 5% is 10, 10% is just 2 times 10, which is 20. So 100%, or my original number, is just 20 multiplied by 10, which gives me 200. So the correct answer I was looking for was A. Okay, Year 7, in your light blue books, please pause the video for 10 to 15 minutes. Have a go at these questions. Can you work out what the original number might be? I've put an example at the top to help you out. Pause the video and have a go at those now, please. And these are the answers. Please check your work and see how you did. One final question for you. If 90% of x is 180, what's 100% of x? Let's go through it. Let's try and work out what 10% would be. If I divide by 9, I know that 10% of x is 20. I can then just multiply that by 10, which tells me 100% of x is 200. So the correct answer was C. And that is the end of today's lesson. Please head over to Google Classroom and submit today's exit ticket. Thanks very much for listening, Year 7, and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.